Okay, so welcome to the stratification unit. If you've been following along and sort of going with the crime ones, the education, family, etc., then hopefully you've gained a good understanding of those case studies. Now, I will say the stratification case studies. I mean, it's the last unit, so it stands to reason they get gradually a little bit harder. These ones are maybe the most complex, okay, but in a way, actually, once you've grasped them, some in particular are the most useful. So you don't just have to use these case studies in the stratification unit. You can use them in any unit. Um, some more than others, granted, but some of them are super useful for those 12 markers. So just consider that. So we're going to start with Davis and Moore. Okay, so these guys are sort of big deal functionalists. Okay, so you got your Durkheim, your Parsons, Davis and Moore sort of are up there as some of the better known functionalist sociologists. And they talk about social stratification. Okay, stands to reason. That's what the unit is. But they talk about how actually the way that society is organized is a universal necessity. Okay, you need to have groups of people. You need to be able to sort of separate people depending on a bunch of different things. But they really do talk about roles in society. Okay, and they talk about inequality in society. Now, if you think about it, it says here social stratification is a universal necessity for every known human society. Now, what that is saying but not saying is that inequality is a universal necessity in some way. Okay, and that will become a bit more clear what they mean by that as we go through. So they believe that for any society to survive and operate efficiently, it was necessary for the following to happen. Now, these are the things that you probably put on revision cards because they are sort of the fundamentals of the theory. So all roles must be filled. Okay, so everything that needs to happen in society, every role that is created must be filled. Okay, we need a fully working mechanism, a fully working society for everyone to be happy and have it, well, for it to work. Um, Point two, so they must be filled by those who are most able to perform them. You don't want someone who failed their A levels and GCSEs to be operating on you for open heart surgery. Okay, you want someone who is completely able to do that, who has the qualifications and the understanding and the skills to be able to do that job. Okay, so you wouldn't just let anyone do any role. You want the most able doing the roles which are most important. Okay, and the less able, the least able to be doing roles which suit their ability. Point three: necessary training must take place. I don't think that really needs much explanation. If you're in a role, you need to be trained how to do it, and that sort of relates to the education system as well. And then point four, roles must be performed conscientiously. So what they really mean by that is you need to put everything into it. You can't sort of be lazy in the role that you have taken on. Again, go back to the sort of heart surgeon idea. If you were a heart surgeon and you weren't performing your role conscientiously, you'd probably have most of your patients dying, which is quite morbid, really. But you need to perform your role to the best of your ability, is what that's really trying to say. Okay, so that's how, if all those things happen, we've got a perfect society, according to Davis and Moore. So, basically, all of this section is talking about why it's important that these things happen. So, basically, the mechanism allows these things to take place. Sorry, the mechanism that allows these things to take place was, in their view, a system of social stratification that attached unequal rewards and privileges to the different positions in society. So, basically, the only way that this was possible was by giving those high status roles like heart surgeons, like politicians, like lawyers, like all of those things, great pay and rewards, which would basically incentivize, like sort of encourage people to go for those roles, to sort of strive and sort of go for the qualifications and sort of the really long process to actually get to that point. Okay, so you basically you work hard, you become the most able, and eventually you'll end up in that role and you'll be heavily rewarded for it, okay, by being paid more, by getting lots of social status, that sort of thing. They believe that this system served to match the most able people with the functionally most important positions in society. Those that require the highest levels of skill, so your heart surgeons, and or the greatest responsibility to direct and organize others, so your politicians and things like that. By attaching the high rewards to those functionally important positions, those with ambition and skill would be encouraged to compete for them, with the most talented achieving success. So, using this system, we should theoretically have the most able, the most talented, the best possible people in the most important positions in society. Now, at the time of filming, we have a very interesting Prime Minister who brings all of this into question a little bit, but I won't go on a political rant right now. But anyway, okay, that's the theory, okay, is that there is an inequality in society. We have important roles, we have less important roles, and we basically want the most able doing those important things, and the least able doing maybe less important things. That's basically it. Okay, now on this sheet are a bunch of criticisms. Okay, now in terms of sort of what you need, I mean, I don't want to say this, but you want to sort of memorize at least two of these. Now, some of you might have already noticed 1945 was a long time ago, and I know that a lot of people like to say, "Oh, this study's outdated, so therefore we can't use it in modern society," or something like that. That's lazy evaluation. We don't like to see it very much, especially not for this one, because we actually there's some really good criticisms just here. So the key one that I want to highlight to you, and by all means read all of these because they are good, but the key one is talking about this bit. So the system served to match the most able people with the functionally most important positions in society. Now, functionally important is a very vague term. Now, think about the jobs that get paid the most. Okay, think about your CEOs, your prime ministers, and basically a lot of sort of tech jobs and sort of stock exchange and things like that. Basically, you can make tons of money by not really contributing much to society. Okay, so this is a little bit vague because surely, if we're talking about the functionally most important roles, we're talking about nurses, we're talking about teachers, dare I say, we're talking about truck drivers. Okay, we've just come out of a pandemic at the time of filming, and the pandemic really did reveal who the real key workers are. Oh, lights have gone out. One sec. Okay, it's not working. Anyway, so it really did reveal who is actually important to our society, who is functionally important, because without those people, things really started to fall apart. But they're not paid very highly. They're not encouraged to go into those roles. Okay, so there's a real problem with this theory in that the most able people are going for the highest reward job, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those jobs are actually the functionally most important ones. Okay, so that's a big criticism of this theory, but that's Davis and Moore. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, as always, don't forget their functionalists, okay, because if you got a 3 or 4 marker, you'd need to know that. But all the same, if you have any questions about this one that I haven't covered in this video, then do contact someone from the department, myself, Mrs. Tuvey, Miss Esland, anyone. And we will be happy to help you. Okay, but tune in for the next one. Thank you very much, guys.